So the second intermediate period. In order to understand the role of the Hyksos in Egyptian history, we again need to take a look at the neighboring countries of Egypt. And first, we want to talk about the Hittite Empire. The Hittites, their descent is really unknown because all the people here are Semites, but the Hittites are not Semites because their language is from the Indo-Germanic language family. So they either came here from the Caucasus or they came from India to east and then established here a kingdom in Minor Asia or in today's Turkey. But what we know is that they already lived in Anatolia and in today's Turkey when the Assyrian merchants had formed around here trade colonies in Anatolia. So here, this was a very, at that time, so around 1700, this was a very wealthy region here. The capital of the Hittite Empire was actually Kayseri. This is a little bit east of Ankara, and with the first king, Hattusili I. We will see Kayseri later on the map. Here on the map, we can see that again. So at 2000, the Ur III dynasty broke down. This led to the Hurrians moving from Ur to the region in Syria, and they established then, the Hurrians and the people there established here, this Assyrian city-states and the trade colonies. And then there came the Hittites. The Hittites come either from Caucasus or from India. And then, of course, the Hittites wanted to expand their kingdom. They wanted to expand their kingdom, but so here in the eastern, they conquered everything. And there was Europe, but they had no interest in Europe, but they wanted to expand their kingdom to the east. But there was one thing that blocked them to go to the east. These were these Assyrian city-states and the trade colonies. And what meaning this has, we will see shortly. So here we see the map. Here, when we zoom in, this is where around this region is where the Hittites lived. And then here, Hattusa, this was the main city, the capital city of the Hittites. This is today's Kayseri. And then here, when we go a little bit more east, around here, we have Ankara, today's Turkey's capital city. So, and also when we today go to Kayseri, we can still find some Hittite ruins there. So this shows that it was an important city for the Hittites. Now, with the rise of the Hittite Empire, they went into an expansion phase. But and what they wanted to conquer were the Syrian city-states. But why did they want to conquer these Syrian city-states? So there were two main reasons. The first point is that we can see in Syria from east to west and from north to south is a really important trade route intersection. And when whoever controls that controls the whole trade in the Middle East region. Therefore, it was really profitable for the Hittites when they could conquer the Syrian city-states. Additionally, because of this trade, the Assyrian city-states were very wealthy. That means when the Hittites would be able to conquer these Syrian city-states, then the Hittites would also become very wealthy and gain all the wealth from the Assyrian city-states. And the main opponent here was Aleppo. Aleppo was at that time the most powerful Assyrian city-state. So here again we have in brown now, we have here the people were here where the Hurrian people lived. And then what the Hittites did, they started to invade Syria. They went into Palestine, into Syria. They even went up to Mesopotamia. And at first they couldn't really conquer it, but after with the war ongoing, they were able to even conquer the Babylonian city-states here. But that was a problem for the Hurrians, because the Hurrians, they lived there in peace for about 300 years, until 1700 BC. But now the Hittites came, so there was war. And that meant that because life here in Syria became, because of the Hittites, insecure, the Hurrians needed to move. So what they did was, because here in the south is the desert, they couldn't go back here to Babylon because this was also conquered by the Hittites. They also couldn't go to the north because there were mountains, not really good to live. This is the reason why then they went to Palestine, and they even went further south to Egypt. And therefore the Hurrians are the actual Hyksos, the Semites, who invaded the Middle Kingdom and then made the second intermediate period in Egyptian history. Now, before we talk a little bit more of the Hyksos, let us shortly talk about the rise of Mitanni. Mitanni is another coexisting kingdom with the Hittites, and the Mitanni, they're actually Hurrian. They are of Hurrian descent, so they're also Semites, but what is special is that the reigning elite is of Indo-Germanic descent, so it's kind of a mixed nation. At its climax, from around 1500 to 1360, their empire reached from Kirkuk in the Zagros Mountains, this is around here in the east, up to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. Its capital was Wasukani, and when we take a look at Wasukani, it is near the today's Syrian border, but still in Turkey. So we see this eastern Turkish area, for world history, very important area. And what was its main foreign policy? The foreign policy of the Mitannians was that they competed with Egypt for dominating Syria. Because in the new kingdom that we are going to talk about later, Egypt controlled here the whole Levante. And then, therefore, because Mitanni also wanted to go south and control this region, there were always fights between Egypt and Mitanni about controlling the Levante and controlling Syria. Around 1400 then, peaceful relations were started under Thutmose IV. So this is just a short introduction to the Mitanni. They will become important later. So, Hyksos rule in Egypt. Around 1650, we have the Hyksos invasion, and the Hyksos, they make the 15th dynasty in Egypt. But the Hyksos did not rule over the whole country because the Middle Kingdom broke down into many small principalities, and different Hyksos rulers ruled over different parts of the countries. So the country was ruled like overall from the Hyksos, but it was not like that there was one Hyksos king. They all, in some form of way, shared the power of about the Egyptian kingdom. The capital of the overall capital, though, of the Hyksos was Avaris, and when we take a look where Avaris is in the Nile Delta, here, near Tanis, at the eastern part of the Nile Delta. And we see that Avaris was a city built by the Hyksos because all the houses that were found in the ruins in Avaris, they are built in the typical Canaanite Semitic style. This shows that the Hyksos are also from this Hurrian Semitic descent.